Last chapter we learned about supply and demand models and some of their general characteristics. This time we're going to learn about some of their more nuanced details. So we're going to start with this idea of surplus, which is the area relative to the supply and demand curve and the market price. So it's going to be the area between the demand curve and the market price and the supply curve. So individual consumer surplus is the difference between what you're willing to pay for a good and the market price, whereas total consumer surplus is the sum of all of these individuals that are purchasing the good. Individual producer surplus is the same idea. So it's the willingness to produce relative to the marketplace minus the marketplace, and then the market price minus your willingness to produce price. And the sum of all of those gives you the producer surplus. Our total surplus is the sum of producer and consumer surpluses. Things that can change our surplus are if we have our consumption reallocated among consumers, if our production is reallocated among our producers, if we change the quantity traded. Right? And then we've got some characteristics of efficient markets. So well-defined property rights. So if you purchase an item, you have complete control over its use. That's an example of well-defined property rights. Clear economic signals. So we use like the production of a good, for instance, cardboard, to forecast the number of sales that an industry is projecting. They need boxes to pack things in, so if they're buying more cardboard, perhaps they're anticipating the market's going to do better. And then when these markets don't achieve efficiency, the government can improve by intervening. So there's some key ways that we don't achieve efficiency. One is a monopoly. When a company has monopoly of power, it can affect price and do so unfairly. So one example is cable providers. They oftentimes have local monopolies, and they can raise prices because you don't have many options to switch. Another failure of the market is when we don't account for the side effects of individual or firm decisions. For instance, we're consuming a bunch of plastic bottles when we have a sports drink or water, and this has a negative effect of polluting oceans. We don't account for that in the price of purchasing the water bottle because the water bottle company isn't responsible for the cleanup of their goods, so it's not in the price. And then some goods are just unsuited for efficient management by the markets. So these things arise from information issues. So imperfect information, an example would be used car sales, because the dealer knows more about the car than you do. You could get a lemon. You could purchase something and then it turns out to not be what was represented to you. All right, in this case study, we're going to talk about in class. All right.